How many times have we looked at something that happened in our life and immediately called it a disaster? And how many times did that same disaster later turn out to be a hidden blessing? The truth is, we are never wise enough to judge life in the moment it arrives. What feels like a loss today might be preparing us for something far greater tomorrow. But most of us don't have the patience to wait and see. Today's story is about a simple farmer who understood something that most of us struggle with our entire lives: the art of patience and trust in life's timing. While everyone around him celebrated too quickly or grieved too deeply, this farmer stayed calm through every storm and every sunrise. And by the end of his journey, life proved him right in the most powerful way. So watch this video till the end, because this story might just change the way you look at every good and bad thing that happens in your life. A long time ago, at the foot of the lush green Aravalli Hills, in the heart of India, there lay a small village. It was surrounded by golden wheat fields, mango orchards, and the gentle sound of a river that flowed nearby. Life in the village was simple. People worked the land, shared stories under banyan trees, and measured their worth by what they owned. Among the villagers lived a farmer. He was not rich. He was not powerful. His house was small, built from mud and dry grass. He lived there with his wife, a kind and patient woman, and their only son, a strong young man who worked beside his father every single day. The family didn't have much. They had a small piece of land, an old ox that helped them plow, a loyal dog that guarded their home at night, and a couple of cows that gave them just enough milk. But there was one thing this family treasured above all else: a horse. He was tall, strong, and strikingly handsome, with a shining coat and sharp, intelligent eyes. The farmer had raised him since he was a young colt, and over the years, the horse had become more than just an animal. He was part of the family. Now, what made this farmer truly different from everyone else in the village was not what he owned. It was how he lived. No matter what happened, good or bad, the farmer never lost his calm. When the rain didn't come and the crops were dry, he didn't curse the sky. When the harvest was good, he didn't boast. He simply worked, prayed, and accepted whatever life brought him with a quiet, unshakable peace. No matter what happened, good or bad, he would simply say, "Who knows what is good and what is bad? Only time will tell. Everything happens for a reason. Be patient, be thankful, and keep your faith strong." The villagers could never understand him. They thought he was odd. Some even whispered that he was a fool. One day, word about the farmer's beautiful horse reached a wealthy merchant who often traveled through the region. The merchant came to the village and was stunned when he saw the horse. He immediately offered the farmer a sack of gold coins, enough money to feed his family for years. The villagers gathered around, their eyes wide with excitement. They whispered to each other, "He would be a fool to refuse such an offer." But the farmer gently shook his head and said, "This horse is not just an animal to us. He is part of our family. I cannot sell him to any cost. This horse is not for sale." The merchant raised his offer twice, but the farmer stood firm. The merchant left disappointed, and the village erupted with gossip. "What a foolish man," they said. "He could have been the richest farmer in the village. Now he will remain poor forever. He had his one big chance and he threw it away." But the farmer said nothing. He simply returned to his field and continued his work. A few days later, something shocking happened. One morning, the son went to the stable and found it empty. The rope was untied. The horse was gone. No one knew how or where he went. The farmer and his son searched everywhere, through the fields, along the riverbank, into the edges of the forest and the neighboring villages. But there was no sign of the horse anywhere. The villagers shook their heads and clicked their tongues. "We told him so," they said. "He should have taken the merchant's coal when he had the chance. Now he has nothing, no horse and no money. What a terrible loss." The son was heartbroken that evening. He sat beside his father and said, "We have lost our most valuable companion. How can you be so calm?" The farmer placed his hand on his son's shoulder and said softly, "My son, what looks like a loss today may not be a loss tomorrow. Don't be so quick to call this a disaster. There is good and bad in everything. Only time can reveal the true nature of what happens to us. Everything happens for a reason. Be patient, be thankful, and keep your faith strong." The son did not understand his father's words, but he trusted him and tried to be patient. Then, about a week later, something unbelievable happened. Early one morning, as mist still covered the fields, the son heard the sound of hooves. He ran outside and could not believe his eyes. The horse had returned, and behind him followed 5 wild horses, strong, untamed, and magnificent. The horse had found a herd in the forest and brought them home. The village buzzed with excitement. The same people who had called the farmer foolish now called him the luckiest man alive. "Now he has 6 horses. He will be wealthier than the merchant himself." But the farmer simply smiled and said quietly to his son, "Do not celebrate too soon, my son. We do not yet know what this will bring. Let us not judge this moment either. Only time will tell." Eager to train the wild horses, the son mounted one of the strongest stallions the very next day. The horse bucked and twisted violently, throwing him to the ground. There was a sickening crack. His right leg was broken in 2 places. The village healer rushed to their home. He set the bone and wrapped it tightly. But he told the farmer's wife that the boy would need many weeks to recover and might always walk with a slight limp. Once again, the villagers whispered, "Those wild horses brought nothing but trouble," the villagers said. "The farmer's greed for more has cost his son dearly." Lying in pain, the son looked at his father with heavy eyes and asked, "Was this meant to happen too?" The farmer sat beside him, just as calm as ever, and replied, "The same rain that floods the valley nourishes the forest, my son. Do not judge this moment either. Only time will tell. Everything happens for a reason. Be patient, be thankful, and keep your faith strong." Then, just 2 weeks later, the unthinkable happened. Sound of drums and trumpets echoed through the village. The king's soldiers rode in with a royal decree. A war had broken out on the northern border, and every able-bodied young man was to be drafted into the army immediately. There were no exceptions, no excuses. One by one, the young men of the village were taken. Strong sons who had never held a sword. Boys who had only ever known the plow and the harvest. Mothers wailed. Fathers stood in stunned silence. The village felt as though its heart had been ripped out. But when the soldiers came to the farmer's door and saw his son lying on a cot with his leg bound in splints, they shook their heads and moved on. "This one is of no use to us," they said. The son was spared. Months passed. The war was brutal and long. When it finally ended, news trickled back to the village. Of the 23 young men who had been taken, only 9 returned. The rest had perished on the battlefield. Families that had once mocked the farmer now grieved for sons they would never see again. And there sat the son, alive and healing, beside his father under the old Neem tree. His leg was mending. Their beloved horse grazed peacefully in the field. The 5 wild horses had been tamed and now helped the family work twice the land they once could. That evening, the farmer sat with his son under the old tree behind their house. The sky was painted in deep orange and purple. The son looked at his father with new eyes. "You were right all along, father," he said, his voice thick with emotion. "Every time I thought the world was ending, it was actually beginning something new." The farmer nodded slowly and said, "My son, this is the greatest wisdom I can give you. Never celebrate too quickly and never grieve too deeply. Life is like a river. It turns and bends, and you cannot see what lies ahead. What looks like a flood today may water the fields of tomorrow." The horse disappearing seemed like a tragedy, but he returned with 5 more. "Your broken leg felt like a punishment, but it saved your life." We are never wise enough to judge what life gives us in the moment it arrives. The son, for the first time, truly understood the greatest lesson of life. The farmer's wisdom teaches us 3 things we can all practice starting today. First, stop judging every moment the instant it arrives. Give life the time to reveal its full picture. Second, trust the process. Just because you cannot see the road ahead does not mean it leads nowhere. And third, stay steady in both good times and bad. When things go well, stay humble. When things fall apart, stay hopeful. Balance is the key to inner peace. The horse running away seemed like a disaster, but brought 5 more horses. The wild horses seemed like a blessing, but led to a broken leg. The broken leg seemed like a curse, but saved a young man's life. Every event was connected, each one revealing its true meaning only in the fullness of time. Life does not unfold in straight lines. It twists, it turns, and it surprises. What looks like a curse today may become your greatest blessing tomorrow. And what feels like a reward may carry a hidden challenge within it. Life will test you with sudden loss and unexpected gain. Do not let either one control you. Practice patience. The complete picture is always larger than the piece you can see today. Stay grounded in gratitude, no matter what season of life you are passing through. And above all, keep your faith strong. Even in the darkest moments, something meaningful is unfolding. The wisdom is simple but powerful. Do not break down when times are hard, and do not lose yourself when times are good. Stay balanced, stay grateful, stay patient, because only when the full story is told can you understand why each chapter was written. Think about your own life for a moment. How many times did something go wrong and you thought it was the end? Maybe you lost a job, failed an exam, went through a breakup, or faced a financial setback. In that moment, it felt like the sky was falling. But weeks, months, or even years later, you looked back and realized that very setback pushed you towards something better. A new career, a stronger relationship, a deeper understanding of yourself. Life is not a single chapter, it is a whole book. And no one can judge a book by reading just one page. So the next time something happens that shakes you, take a deep breath and remind yourself, only time will tell. Be patient, be thankful, and keep your faith strong. Always remember this. Don't celebrate too soon and don't grieve too early. Life has a way of turning things around. Wait until the evening to see how splendid the day has been. Everything happens for a reason. Be patient, be thankful, and keep your faith strong. Now I want to hear from you. Think about a time in your life when something that seemed terrible actually turned out to be a blessing in disguise. Share it in the comments below. Your story might be the encouragement someone else needs today. If you believe this message should reach more people, please like and share this video, and subscribe to our channel so we can keep bringing you stories that inspire and uplift. I'll be back again with another powerful story like this. Until then, be patient, stay grateful, and keep moving forward in life.